after Helene hit, seeing people help each other made me feel confident enough to move forward and be like, hey, I've been talking about this thing for like 2 years. I think we can do this. Now is the time to do this. So I went to my friends, was like, hey, y'all, let's like do this thing. They like were backing me and they had the same beliefs and visions as I did about it. So that's where it came from. I had people. I had community backing me to do the thing. Then we had our first meeting, and then I just knew that we were going to blow it up.
Welcome to WNC HeartBEAT. We all want the same thing at the end of the day, good food. Food that's fresh, nourishing, and close to home. But for too many families, that simple need isn't being met. The USDA says that more than 47 million people in the U.S. face food insecurity. And here in rural communities, especially families with kids, that number is greater. And yet, in the middle of that challenge, we're also seeing some incredible opportunity. Neighbors, farmers, and community leaders are coming together, and groups like the MadCo Food Coalition are stepping up to meet it. I'm Anna Robas here with my lovely and talented co-host, Allie. And every week we bring you stories of resilience, creativity, and community right here in Western North Carolina. If this is your first time with us, we'd love for you to subscribe and join the conversation because these stories are for all of us.
Today we're sitting down with Ashley and Matt from the MadCo Food Coalition. They're part of a grassroots effort to bring a thriving, resilience, and equitable food system, not just in Spring Creek, but across all of Madison County. So welcome, Ashley and Matt. So nice having you here.
Thank you. It's nice being here.
Hoping you can each introduce yourselves. We'll start with Ashley and share what first drew you to food system work here in Spring Creek and the greater Madison County.
My name's Ashley, and I'm the founder of MadCo Food Co. It starts way before Madison County with getting involved in the food systems. But I can say for myself specifically here, it's the fact that the grocery store is an hour away and there's nowhere to get food here. Like, that's not a bag of Doritos or
food desert, right? We don't have a grocery store. We have a couple of general stores that carry basics, and we're very grateful for them. But it's not a large grocery store. Sometimes the closest grocery store isn't even the most affordable grocery store.
Basically, you end up at a gas station getting a bag of chips is the idea.
Yeah.
Which we all love to do now and again, but as a ritual, as a daily thing, is not what we're looking for nutrition. Does that sound right, Ashley?
It does sound right. It does sound right. And also, I would include our food pantries. Access to healthy produce is also an issue.
In what way? Like that they're having a hard time getting the healthy food in, or?
Yes. I can say that with wholeheartedness.
We're going to talk to the Food Connection here in a couple of episodes, and they do work just like this. And that's one of the things that when we talked about them coming out to Madison County, they said the distance is the issue. And so I'm hearing you say that, and what you're saying, Ashley, is the distance is just one of those core issues.
There's been a number of programs that have been cut from the USDA. A HOP program was a state program that was cut, but a federal program that was cut was the LFPA or the LFPP. I don't know why they have different names, but there's like a promotional program and then there's a assisted purchasing program that were both cut, and they both saw their fundings cut through the end of September. And when that funding was cut, there's a number of food hubs within Western North Carolina and within North Carolina, just in general, that were using that funding for a number of years. But yeah, there was expansive growth through like 2020 to 2023. And Tractor was able to provide organizations like Beacon of Hope and our food pantry in Spring Creek with quite a lot of local produce, actually. And there were other organizations like Mother Earth Produce that was able to do this. I'm certain the Food Connection has had some experience with this as well, although they mostly operate in like a food rescue model where they're like rescuing hot meals and like distributing those rescued meals. I'm sure they regardless have experienced that through the supply chain. For example, about how the pantries have seen reduced inputs because of this funding being cut federally. Beacon of Hope used to receive 16 pallets of food from Mana Food Bank. And that is with Mana Food Bank's pull all the way from Raleigh and being very supported through state programs. They saw that reduced from 16 pallets of food to distribute to 1,000 families to 6 pallets of food to distribute to an increased number of families. And that's not solid produce, of course, like that is like freezer, dry goods, et cetera. It's like their total food supply that they're getting.
That's a really powerful number, Matt. Like that, just hearing that number really brings it home for me. When you're saying 16 pallets for 1,000 families and 6 pallets for over 1,000 families. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
That's an incredible shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think what was sort of the spark moment that had you guys saying, we got to do something about this? We have to start this thing here in our county.
Here, after Helene hit and seeing everybody like pull together to look out for each other, seeing that was there, seeing people help each other made me feel confident enough to move forward and be like, hey, I've been talking about this thing for like 2 years. I think we can do this. I think like now is the time to do this. The lovely Rebecca Gahagan was like cheering me on. She was like, you really should. We're going to have this strategy and planning meeting and you should be there. And so I went to my friends, Ruthie, Philip, and Ryan. We all know Ryan. And was like, hey y'all, let's like do this thing. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. They like were backing me and they had the same beliefs and visions as I did about it. So that's where it came from. I had people, I had community. And then we had our first meeting and Matt was there. And then I just knew that we were gonna blow it up. And it's been going ever since.
Matt, I don't think I know, but like, what is your background? How did you get involved? I know you say Matt was there, but what does that mean?
Yeah. So my background's largely in ag. That's probably the biggest work history I have is agriculture. My formal education's in nutrition. I moved here 10 years ago after working in production vegetable models for about 6 years. And that was back in 2014. And my dream always was to farm. Like I always wanted to do that. That was just, I took philosophy courses and nutrition courses at the same time. And for all the reasons that Ashley was drawn to natural foods, I was drawn to like natural foods, local foods, that whole thing. Health foods model. Coming here, there wasn't an economy to support that. So I was never able to realize becoming a production vegetable farmer as a first generation grower without access to infrastructure, equipment, and land. So it just wasn't possible. So when I moved here, I was doing anything and everything to get by. Like I worked as a landscaper, I worked at the tavern in Hot Springs. I did anything. And rent was cheap back then. Rent was like $350 a month for a 2-bedroom house. Getting with the Food Coalition, it was just a natural, seamless thing. We all see the same problem. There is a lack of access to food. Anybody who is making money now, if you're not a millionaire, you are probably struggling to purchase food. Like it's just, we talk about the tax brackets, we talk about who qualifies for SNAP. I know that I have struggled to purchase food, which is why I grow a large portion of my food supply. One of the reasons why I live here. I think a lot of people have that passion, but most people are shopping at the grocery store. The prices at the grocery store are astronomical. They're inaccessible. And we're watching those prices being influenced by a nationwide market where there isn't industry in our area to support those raised prices. So what people are doing is they're food rationing. They're eating less. They're having one meal a day instead. And that's not okay. I don't think that's okay. Ashley doesn't think that's okay. And we want to fix that as much as we can. As one organization among many, we want to partner with other organizations to meet the needs of our community as much as we can.
The community gatherings that MadCo Food Coalition is facilitating every month, what about these events are so central to your work? What comes out of gathering people together with food?
Okay, so like our meetings have been a way for us to connect to the community and make sure that we stay relevant. So for example, we conducted a needs assessment. We hold meetings to make sure that like our projects are still relevant and on point. And that's been consistently an avenue that we've been able to like partner with other organizations, find people in the community who are interested in working with us. And for next month, our plan is to host a community meal in Laurel. And we're hoping that we can accomplish this. We have to make some dots connect first before we can commit to this. But we're fairly confident that we can hold a community meal where we could feed conservatively 150 people with local food. So we're excited to make that connection, providing free meals around a time where food benefits have been pulled back, where food is more expensive, where we can simultaneously inject funds into the local food system and also connect it to the locals who live here.
Matt, is this like a set date? Do we have information that we can provide our viewers and listeners?
The tentative plan is currently for December 13th, which is a Saturday, which we aimed for because it's in between holidays and it should be accessible. It's not on a Sunday where people might be in church. We wanted to be as accessible to as many people as possible. So the Laurel Community Center, we still need to like solidly get a written commitment from them, but we have a oral commitment. We just want to get it signed and documented and get all our T's and I's and Q's or whatever organized. We have a loose commitment from a chef. We have loose commitment from farmers with intention to provide like up to 30 turkeys.
So if people are interested in attending, should they just follow your Facebook page? Like, will you be posting about it?
Yes.
We are going to blast advertising as soon as we get the confirmation. And also we make sure that we get our food handlers permits from the food and safety.
So one thing that I wanted to touch on, because I think this touches on a few of the questions that we have, Allie, is the spark that came after Helene, right, was the community coming together. And I saw the sort of like the gears grinding for a while, or like a few meetings. And I went to a few meetings and we're like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? For me as a Spring Creek community member, the spark came when I saw that produce stand at the community market. I was like, like Ryan asked me, he's like, do you think people would want that? And I was like, yes, please do it. And when I saw the picture of that bounty of produce sitting in our community market in the middle of our community, it was like, and I've lived here a super long time. I was like, wow, this is like a dream come true to have access to this kind of fresh produce. I've been through ups and downs in my life, but I'm certainly not, struggling to the level that some people are right now. I just want you guys to know that as a longtime community member, that was an important moment for me, where I said, someone's actually making this happen. And even though I'm not on the end of the spectrum where there's a lot of struggle happening, it meant a lot to me to know that things are happening in that vein. It's so powerful, I think is what I'm trying to say, is to see that kind of power and access to delicious, vibrant food. I felt so passionate about getting you guys on the podcast. I want people to know how you're affecting the dinner table every night. Like, what does it look like at the dinner table, Ashley, in your ideal Madison County world?
Everything on the table comes from Madison County. Not just Spring Creek, but like Madison County. The protein, the carb, the veg. Energetically, I would feel good about that. I would be happy to have a whole meal made from stuff from Madison County.
Everything from farmers to wild foraging, maybe to farming, to people's local gardens. And there's just so much richness here. People might not know that our background in Spring Creek is tobacco farming. Like, we had Burley tobacco here. Farming was a huge part of the community, and now it's not. And so there's an opening there, I would think.
It does. It does. And that's kind of what our idea is with like the sub hubs and the food hub. It's like I'm going to reference Philip when he talked about like the stores. There were a lot of different stores back in the day here where you could get your provisions from, and kind of like we're trying to bring that back with the sub hub.
Tell us more about what's a sub hub. Tell us more about that.
A food hub is a place where you can say that you distribute, aggregate, and market produce. And we're hoping to open a major food hub in Marshall in the spring, which would distribute to smaller food hubs in our remote counties. So, like Spring Creek is one of those. We have had plans to build the Spring Creek Food Hub, and that was initially where we were going to set our sights, was the Spring Creek Food Hub. But in our current business plan and model, the Spring Creek the Spring Creek Food Hub is a destination for produce from the Marshall Hub. Now, that doesn't mean that like other farms couldn't supply directly to the Spring Creek Food Hub, but that generally what would happen is aggregation would occur in Marshall, and then it would distribute out. So that people who live, so like Ashley was just saying, like so that people who live maybe 10 or 15 minutes away, who would historically be in a food desert and have to drive up to an hour, would only need to drive 10 or 15 minutes to their community center or nearby to their community center to access fresh local food.
That's so incredible. And, in my mind, there are two hardships to living this rurally. One of them is the drive. Not everyone can drive, should drive, is comfortable driving. Gas costs money. Healthy food is farther away. And the second thing is the cost. I've interviewed you guys previously when you guys were first starting up at Spring Creek, and my jaw hit the ground when you told me that our food stand at the community center, that those veggies are going to be priced lower than Ingles. It's not going to be some fancy pantsy, no one can afford it farmers market. This is actually like everyone can have access to healthy food. And if I may say so, and I don't know if it's something in the water or what, but the food in Madison County, veggies, meat, tastes like the best I've had in the world. Like it is so good here. And so to be able to share that isn't just for healthier minds and bodies. It's like spiritually good food, nothing like it.
So it's connecting two dots there. It's like, how do we simultaneously make it affordable in Madison County for people to afford local food while also giving farmers a wage that is sustainable for a farmer? Like the conversation about like where are people who are capable of farming like for long term, for sustainable longevity in the community, like who's able to do that, number one. And then how do we keep them here by giving them a good wage? And two, how do we connect that to a low income, mostly older population, which is Spring Creek? Like, Madison County in general is an older population that is on a fixed income largely. So threading that needle, our plan for that is to use regional markets to subsidize our market here. So while we can't pay what you would get at a more urban farmers market in Madison County, Knoxville restaurants can, and Charlotte restaurants can, and Greenville, Spartanburg, Asheville restaurants can. And when you look at how food hubs generally make their income, restaurants in urban centers are largely how that happens throughout North Carolina. So we would intend to tap into that market. I want to make it clear for the food markets that we were able to provide specifically in Spring Creek, we were able to do that because the produce was donated from Carl and Julie at Mountain Valley Organics, and they were an incredible support to us. So we didn't have an overhead for that. So we could generate funds to make sure that we could propagate our mission further while also doing it in a way that was accessible to everybody. We need to stay dynamic. We need to use multifaceted tooling to make sure that we can connect those dots continuously. And we might have some programs in play like income-based memberships. We might have like, if we might be opening some type of business in the future that might revolve around food production, work half an hour, get half an hour worth of produce kind of thing. We're looking at exploring a lot of models to connect a good wage for farmers to low costs for residents.
So tell us exactly like how you guys are operating right now. I know that you're operating under the WNC food systems right now.
We are working underneath WNC Grassroots Media. If you make a donation to WNC Grassroots Media and specify your donation for the MadCo Food Coalition, that is currently how we are organized. We have an account with them, and money would go directly into our account to fund our business ventures and our nonprofit goals. We are organized currently as a nonprofit, working in partnership with another nonprofit. I'm in the executive director seat. Ashley is the founder. And our board president is Allison Wade of the Farm Connection, and Ryan Holm is our secretary on the board.
If someone outside of Madison County in another rural community wants to do what you're doing and is feeling inspired to start their own food coalition, do you have any words of wisdom, maybe something you've learned since you started or something you can recommend to them?
What I would say is to be creative. You have to be creative. Think outside the box. Even though it looks impossible, don't accept it. Trying to find a way.
I love that. If it looks impossible, don't accept it. Find a way. I need that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's a huge challenge. We spent like an hour this morning just video chatting about t-shirt ideas, and then we were trying to solve all the problems, and we were like, it's a challenge. That's real. I'm not going to sit here and be toxic positive about it, about our food system. It's going to be a lot of creative thinking and implementing transitional systems. How do we transition out of the current food system into a new one? How does that look? How do we operate without federal funding? How do we operate without big money? How do we support our mutual aid? I mean, like, I can go on and on and on and on about like what the challenges are, but like, it's going to require some creative thinking.
It really is one seed at a time. Like, we did a small free seed library last summer. It was hugely popular out of the community center. It would get stocked and be empty in a couple of days. We had greens kits, we had garden kits, we had all this stuff. And people are attracted to, they're like, oh yes, I want more control over my food system. I want more control over what's going on my plate. I want it to be healthier. I want to know where it comes from. But also it's one seed at a time. It's one spade full of dirt at a time. And that's a way to make it seem manageable when the whole system is so overwhelming, with big ag and all this stuff. So that's what I would say is, like, as a non-MadCo Food Coalition member, like, that's how I see it, is like, okay, like, how can I plant tomatoes this year? How can I get better raising tomatoes, or whatever it is? And every meal is a small thing, right? You make one meal, you make two meals. As we know, people with kids, you make 6 meals sometimes in a day. It's how it seems manageable or approachable to me mentally. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, because through our little meeting this morning, Matt was telling me that that's how he like looks at it and keeps motivation, is like basically the one seed at a time. Because I was doing the thing where I'm like, oh, and there's this and there's that, and I want to solve all the problems, and I want to create a whole new food system. I have my lovely executive director who keeps me grounded.
If there's listeners out there or people who are watching this podcast right now want to help support you, what do you guys need the most right now? Is it funding? Is it donations? Is it, hey, show up to the next meeting? What are you guys really looking for right now?
Right now, with the limited funding supply available, with the grant programs being reduced, what we are tasked with doing is finding the resources, financial resources. So financial resources really are number one. Number two, if you wanted to help another way, is if you go to our website and you complete a community needs assessment for the limited grants that are available, we are more appealing if we have more community buy-in. So the more responses we have to our community needs assessment, and you described within that assessment that you desire these programs in your community, that you could see a benefit to them in some capacity, we have more capacity to catch funding that way. So it costs no dollar off your back if you can't provide that way. If you could spend 2 to 5 minutes and fill out that survey, that would be extremely meaningful to us. And also, come get some food on December 13th. Like, that would be phenomenal also, to just meet more faces, meet more people, and have more connections in our community.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's you guys are really important people in our community, and we appreciate you so much taking the time out of your important work to talk to us.
And if listeners want to stay up to date with what's going on with the Food Coalition, we will be sure to link their website, Facebook, all that kind of stuff in the description of this video. And if you out there enjoyed listening into this conversation, You want to check out our most recent episode that we did. I think it was Donna Ray, right, Anna? That was the most recent
Yes,
episode
Donna
that we
Ray,
posted.
ballad singing.
Appalachian
Mhm.
Memory Project. You can click this link here and you'll be able to watch that. And be sure to subscribe. And thank you for tuning in to WNC HeartBEAT.